Hey, you could be a lot of different places, but you've chosen to be right here, right now with us. And hey, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. Meredith, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. It is a good day here in Asheville, North Carolina, and excited to. We got that early fall kind of popping in. It couldn't be more beautiful outside.
Well, we have that August popping in here at Omaha, Nebraska. It's only in the mid 80s today. So, anyway, but hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the sales hunter. If you're joining us for the first time, we just talk a little bit for a few minutes. Oh, it's all good stuff. And then we get into the Sales Logic podcast. So, Mayor, what have you been working on this week? What's going on?
Yeah, so I am doing some things to promote our white paper, the white paper that we just produced with Mary Kelly and Sam Richter. I've got a couple of projects in the work and starting a big new consulting job. So things are good. What about you?
Well, that's cool. Actually, I've been making notes here today because you and I are both speaking in a few weeks at the Send Out Cards event. We did the event last year. Of course, this year it's virtual. And I'm just putting together some notes because I'm going to record my session tomorrow. And so I've been working on that. We put down some more video today for the Sales Hunter University and a variety of other things. And hey, I hit a milestone. I hit 100 reviews on my book. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. In fact, we're actually at 101 already. So anyway,
All right,
but yeah,
so
that's
that
good.
means just so you all know, Mark kind of kicked my tail on getting book reviews, and now I owe him a steak dinner.
I didn't say that. You said that, but you're right.
I
You
know,
do owe
but
me.
you deserve the plug. Getting 100 book reviews is huge.
And my response back to you this morning was, hey, now we got to get your book up to 100. And of course, you have a book coming out very soon. So yeah, I mean, this steak dinner will be going back and forth. So anyway, so hey, what do you
Let's
hear
hope.
in terms? What now?
I said, let's hope this steak dinner goes back and forth.
It will because of the success of Sales Logic and everything else going on. Because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of stuff happening out there. Boy, I tell you what, the internet is noisy, the sales world is noisy, and most of all, I'm hearing a lot of confused salespeople. I don't know what you're hearing. I mean, are you kind of hearing the same thing?
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that we're talking about is what does it really mean to sell virtually? Is that going to be here to stay? And how does that really change my sales experience going forward? I was working with a team yesterday that some of their experienced salespeople have made the transition, but they're really struggling to get some of their newer salespeople up and running and onboarded and kind of selling in this new type of environment. So I think it's changing not only for salespeople, but probably more for sales leadership.
I'm finding the same thing. I was doing a coaching call this morning with some salespeople, and it's amazing how some people get it and others don't. In fact, it's funny. This afternoon, I've got a call. I've got a call with a sales manager, very much struggling with his sales team because they're so used to face to face. They want everything to be face to face. That was their environment, and now they're really it's they can get out, but the problem is so many customers don't want a salesperson to come on the premises, don't want a salesperson to come in the door, so they're still stuck having to sell virtually, which is the topic we're going to be talking about here today. I am seeing that. Did we lose Mark? No, we didn't lose Mark. It looks like we lost Meredith, but that's okay. It's okay. Hey, hey, you know what? This is what I like about selling virtually and selling the way we're doing because it's amazing how different hiccups occur all along the way. And you have to be prepared to be able to catch whatever comes at you. Now, what's very interesting is if you stop and think about it, we're going to get into the show here in just a moment here. But stop and ask yourself this question. Did you think you'd be selling this way 9 or 10 months ago? I sure didn't. In fact, it's funny. I was on the phone this morning with a salesperson who made the comment, you know, I thought we'd be out of this by June or July. And I said, yeah, well, I did too. I thought we'd be out of it by June or July. Now I'm kind of hearing, man, we could be in this thing for 6 or 8 or 9 months. So I don't know, but it's just the way it is. And, So, Mayor, are you ready to kick off the show? What do you think?
I am. Let's go ahead and get started because we've got some good stuff to talk about today.
You got it. Mike, it's all yours. Roll it.
When we prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
Who has made a prospecting call today?
This is Sales Logic.
Most people refer to VanillaSoft as the solution. It's the solution to ensure sales reps make the right number of attempts for every lead across all channels, including email, social, and the phone. It's the solution to serve the rep the next best lead every single time. You need to get your solution at vanillasoft.com.
All right. Welcome to Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, we cover the steps, everything you need to know to well sell logically. I'm Meridith Elliott Powell, and I'm here with my co-host,
Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Great to see you, Meredith. Looking forward to a super show. We got a great topic, great question. Why don't you walk through the audience, kind of how we do the show?
Sure. So basically, the very first thing that we do, we've got now 4 segments to the show. We've added another one, but basically, what we do in this show is we cover a topic, we dive into a question. That's right, a question that actually comes from you, our audience, and then we do a lightning round. So you walk away with the exact steps, the exact strategies, the exact things that you need to be doing to really put what you learned from this show into effect. Now, we also cover and highlight a book each time, something that we suggest that you read to help expand your sales experience and your sales effectiveness. So, Mark, now let me tell you basically before we get started, if you have a question, if there's something that you would like us to answer or to discuss here on the show, please just contact us at our website, which is saleslogicpodcast.com, saleslogicpodcast.com, or you can grab us on social media by just hashtag SalesLogic or Sales Logic Podcast. But Mark, why don't we dive in today? Go ahead and give us the topic and the question for the day.
Well, the topic that we're going to talk about is how is virtual selling different than in-person sales? And what does it take to be good at it? When we get to the lightning round, we're going to be really giving you top 10 skills you need to master virtual sales. So that's kind of the gist of the whole thing. We got a great question that came in very specifically to Meredith. So I'm going to let her read the question. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and cheat and do a quick promo here for the book piece. Smart Calling,
Okay.
Art, Subject. This is a new piece we just added a couple weeks ago. But we really believe you really got to get in and read and understand other people. Smart Calling, Art, Subject. If you don't know this guy, he's been around sales and telephone sales in particular for years. So if you think about it, oh man, he's in the know right now. This is the latest edition of his book, Smart Calling, Suggestion. I loved it. I like it. But then I've known Art for years, and you know what's one quick piece that you like about using the telephone when it comes to selling, Meredith?
You know, I like the fact that I can get my energy across on the telephone. I mean, in the telephone, I can really give it personality and I can give it my energy, and I feel like I can really connect people. I also like now the fact that I kind of think it catches people off guard. You know, most people are afraid of the telephone, and it's a true competitive advantage.
Yeah. I love it. And love how you say the personality comes through on the phone. So anyway, the book is Smart Calling. Suggest you pick up a copy of it. But anyway, with that, Mayor, go ahead and read the question from our listener, Cody Shelton.
Yeah, so this one came across to me, I guess, about a week ago, and I loved it. Cody and I had quite an exchange around it. But Cody writes in and says, I was hired a month ago to build 9 states in the Southeast. So understand, if he was hired a month ago, he's hired straight in the midst of COVID, and parts of Eastern Canada and parts of Eastern Europe. I want to drive quality conversations into large deals and bring an ROI and build significant revenue. What salesperson doesn't want to do that? What are some things I can do to position myself and our company in a true position of value with our partners and our customers?
Well, I'm going to jump on that one first. It's doing your homework before you begin the conversation. I'm always amazed at how much better calls go of whatever type when you've taken a couple minutes and you've done some background research and gathered insight as to who you're calling, what you're talking about, what the company does, who their customers are, et cetera, et cetera. It just automatically demonstrates that you're prepared for the conversation.
That's great. I just listened to a podcast about all of that, about the importance of really doing your homework before you reach out and you make a call. And I was reaching out to an old client of mine, somebody I haven't worked for in probably, 5 years. And I just decided, because I'd listened to the podcast, to do a little bit more homework than I typically do. And I just read that he was literally within the last 30 days promoted from president to chairman. So when I reached out today, I was able to say, congratulations on your recent promotion to chairman, and reference the gentleman who take his place as president. I mean, really make sure that you are up and that you understand them. One thing that I suggested to Cody was that he take advantage of the fact that he's new. If you really want to understand how to add value, then you've got to be having the conversations, really engaging and really listening to people. So go ahead and call your existing customers. Let them know that you're new in the role, you're excited, and state to them exactly what you've stated to Mark and I, that you really want to add value. So you want to talk to them and listen to them and find out what's most important to them. And the fact that you're new really gives you the luxury to do that. So don't shy away from that. Jump into it.
That brings up a great point, because I mentioned the same thing to another sales manager who just took over a territory. And he said, I'm thinking about going out on a listening tour. I said, you don't have to go out. You can just pick up the phone and call every single customer and say, hey, I'm new and I'm on a virtual listening tour and like to talk to you about the business. Because this is the one time that you can get away. Because think about this, a year or so from now, that person's not going to be able to call up a customer and say, I don't know what you do. That ship sailed. You got to do it early on. This is one of the reasons why I always tell new salespeople, it's the greatest opportunity you'll ever have to be prospecting, because you get to say, I'm the new kid. And that for lost customers that walked away from anybody and everybody in that territory, it is open season. You get to go in and have a conversation.
Yeah, completely. I would also add that you're part of a company now, and I probably would look around the company to see if there are other sales professionals with territories that are really doing a phenomenal job, that they're doing exactly what you want to do. And if so, I'd go ask to shadow and to mentor with them and learn what they're doing really well, what they're not doing well, and really what works in your company. But you need, as much as you need to be doing the research out, you need to be doing the research inside your company to really understand what has worked in the past, what has worked to sell effectively, and mimic and use some of those things.
So much of it is kind of what I'll call cheating. You're cheating off of what other people have learned, what other relationships are out there. You're just gathering all of that insight together. And what's amazing is it helps you become far more confident faster. But again, never give up the opportunity that early on you can just walk in and I don't want to say be the dummy, but yeah, you can just ask, hey, tell me what's going on. And you'll be amazed at the level of insight. And please make sure as you're in this, I'm going to tell this to Cody, tell this to everybody. You got to make sure you're taking notes. Take notes. Build out this massive database of knowledge by customer, by type, by anything and everything. Because right now, as a new person, it all may not make sense. But in 2 or 3 months, it will make sense. And you want to have those notes to be able to go back to and refer them.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mark,
with
I'm gonna
that, we
add
should
one
probably
last
jump.
thing before.
Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
I'm just going to add one last thing before we jump into the topic, and then I'll let you introduce the topic. But you know, if Cody really wants to do this, he's got to have a plan. After he does all this listening and after he does all this intake, he's got to decide if this is the goal he's going to reach. What are the behaviors he's going to do to get there? How's he going to inspire his team? What's it going to look like? And how's he going to track and measure? Because having, you know, you can have a vision of what you want to do, but you need the plan of how you're going to get there. So with that, Mark, kind of roll us into the topic for the day.
Well, it's good. The topic today is, how is virtual selling different than in-person sales? And what does it take to be good at it? Well, tell us, Mayor.
Yeah, such a good question. You know, it's funny, Mark. I wonder if you agree with that. I think that it is different, and then in some ways it isn't different. I think that virtual selling is different in the sense that for most sales professionals that I have worked with, it's interesting. Even with the in the age of technology, we still sell the old-fashioned way. We still tend to do it face to face. Most people do, at least closing the sale that way. And one of the biggest changes that has happened with virtual is that we've taken the face-to-face connection out of the way, and we have to start to do it virtually. So the biggest thing that you've got to get used to is how good are your presentation skills and relationship building skills and your understanding of how to use video, because you are going to have to become comfortable with it, a master at it, and good at doing video.
And that really starts by just simply being relaxed. Yeah, you got to be prepared. But again, what I like about video is it does let your personality come through. But something that I'll add to that, you always got to make sure you've got a backup plan. I see too many too many Zoom calls, Microsoft Team calls, whatever, where there's a crash and it doesn't work. And what's the backup plan? If I'm going to arrange a sales call, if this is a time commitment I've made to a customer, hey, we're going to be connected 2:00 today. I want to make sure that if the connection we're on fails, that I have a backup plan. So when I send out the invite, hey, here's the Zoom link or whatever platform I'm going to use. And also here's my telephone number in case we run into issues, because you got to be prepared.
Yeah, I would also add that, you know, in person gave us more luxury of time. I mean, if somebody said, come by my office, we're going to sit down, we're going to meet, they've blocked off 30 minutes, possibly an hour for you. Now we don't have that luxury. And so you have to understand how to do two things. You have to establish rapport much more quickly, and you can't waste time in a sales call asking questions to things you should already have the answer to. Now, I would argue we shouldn't be doing that in person, but you can get away with a little bit more in person. But you know, now people are busy. They expect meetings to be shorter because they're online, and you shouldn't be on a fool's journey and wasting their time with things that you should already have the answer to. So those two things kind of go together, because you can build rapport a little bit faster when people know that you've done your homework, because it makes you look far more interested and far more confident and prepared. But you need to use your time far more wisely and effectively.
There's a couple pieces there, and that is really understanding that time is more valuable. If you've set aside an hour or a half hour, it doesn't mean you have to take the full hour. You can take 25 minutes or whatever, 20 minutes. You can take 50 minutes, 55 minutes, whatever. But here's something that I have always found that works well. I'm going to make sure that before that meeting starts, I send them out an email 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes ahead of time. Hey, here's what we're going to be talking about, and here's a couple added questions that I want to make sure we talk about. I'm going to plant the seed with them for some additional thinking, some additional thoughts. And what does that do? I think it allows the person to come in a little more prepared. It allows the customer to say, wow, they're really, he's really prepared for this sales call. It just creates a little more professionalism and ownership of the sales call.
Yeah. I would also say that that you need to be far more definitive about next steps and things after a virtual sales call. So I had a couple this week that ended up in proposals. I put the proposals together, and immediately when I sent those proposals back out, I'm letting them that I'm calling on. And again, something you should be doing in person, but you can get away a little bit more with it. So you also have to have a really strong follow up system. I feel like you have to be more diligent with virtual sales, and you have to have a stronger plan and a stronger strategy because it's far too easy.
Well, it is very easy to lose the prospect along the way because you can't, if you're sitting across from them, in an office, you physically can see everything that they're doing. You can physically see. But if you're on like a Zoom call with them, you can't necessarily see what else they're looking at, what else they're doing. So you have to engage them with more questions, more conversation. This means that you have to keep, it's like a ping pong ball in a game of ping pong. You've got to keep that ball going back and forth where both sides are interacting far more frequently than if you were just sitting across the desk from them, in their office. There's a couple more pieces. Yeah. Well,
I just think that virtual sales wears me out a lot more than being in person. Being on video all day long takes a lot more energy out of me. Just the very fact that, you've got to keep the ping pong ball in play, it takes a lot more of your energy. So when I'm going to make sales calls, I'm making sure that they're high quality sales calls because I don't find that I have the energy to make as many as if I were dialing a telephone all day. So you may want to be thinking about mixing some of those things together.
Well, and that becomes a good piece. Virtual selling does not always require video. Virtual selling can use the telephone. I have found many of my best sales calls are strictly on the telephone because it is amazing. They're a little more relaxed, a little more natural, and a little more free flowing. And so don't necessarily think you have to be locked in. So I can still do a phone call and I'll send you the PDF file ahead of time, or I'll give you the link, but we'll just talk about it on the phone. And I found there are many, many people that are, because there's so much just plain Zoom fatigue out there. Yeah. Hey, we got to keep the show moving along here. So we should probably jump into that lightning round. So now you really baited us because, you wrote the agenda for today. You baited us top 10, not 2, not 4, not 6, not 8, but 10 skills. Oh, Meridith, man, wow. You're an overachiever, but that's what you've been your whole life. Top 10 skills you will need to master virtual sales. Go.
All right. Number 1 is you have to get better at research and pre-call planning. That's 1.
2, make sure you send out an email ahead of time with any materials that you want them to be looking at or questions you want to be asking them.
Great. Number 3, ensure that you build your reputation online so that when people are on a call with you, they've already heard of you and about you.
Number 4, be prepared for the call to go 2 ways. Always have a backup plan, whatever mode that you go with.
Great. Number 5, hone your on-camera skills. Get used to making eye contact with, looking into the camera, smiling, really paying attention, really listening, asking good questions, but role play your virtual presence.
Number 6, along with that, have a good audio connection and have 2 ways that you can receive audio, whether it be through a good microphone or whether it be through earbuds, AirPods, or something of that nature. We're up to number 7. We're getting there.
We're getting there. Take control of the call in the sense that have good questions to ask. Ensure that you sound as if you have done good research and you are prepared, and set the next step before the call ends.
Number 8, if you're planning to have multiple people on the call, make sure that they each receive their invite and make sure that you clarify with them that they're both expected to be on the call. But if one does not make it, still carry on with the call. Be prepared. Use the time wisely.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to dovetail a little bit in that is that if you have more than one person on the call, truly direct the call. Make sure that when you ask a question, you ask it to a certain person. You use their name. You to work anything else that they want to add into it. But calls can end up with people talking all over each other or dead silence. So really put yourself in the position of director.
And number 10, record the call if you're doing it by way of a video, but ask them first, is it okay if I record this? Just in case we say something good. Reference again. We did it. We did the top 10 things, top 10 skills you need to master virtual sales. So, Mayor, where does that take us? Does that take us to the end?
I think we are about wrapping up because I've got to go get on a virtual sales call.
Well, I'm going to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. You like what you hear? Subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meredith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
the uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical. We'll see you next week.
Most
you,
people
everybody.
refer to VanillaSoft as the solution. It's the solution to ensure sales reps make the right number of attempts for every lead across all channels, including email, social, and the phone. It's the solution to serve the rep the next best lead every single time. You need to get your solution at VanillaSoft.com.